What happens when your parents pass away without a will? Their assets will be distributed per the intestate laws for your state, which may not be how they wanted their assets to be distributed, and it may not be how you wanted them to be distributed. We're going to go over the entire probate process step by step so you know exactly what to do when your parents pass away without a will. And so when they pass away, you need to get their death certificate. You take that death certificate and you go get the petition for probate. You can do a simple Google search. So a petition for probate in my state. As an example, I would do a Georgia probate forms, and then I would go to the Supreme Court site, scroll down until I find the petition for probate in solemn form. I would fill out that petition for probate, take that petition along with the death certificate and file it at the probate courts in the county where my parents lived. Then they would open up the probate process, appoint me as the administrator of the estate because my parents did not have a will. And so once I get the letters of administration, which appoints me as the administrator, then I have the authority to manage those assets inside the estate. And then I can go through the entire probate process and distribute those assets out to the beneficiaries per the intestate laws for my state. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is get everything in order. I have to get their accounts. I have to get into their bank accounts, their utility accounts, property taxes, mortgage, etc. So I have to start making payments and maintaining the assets inside of their estate. So I'm going to go open up an estate bank account with an EIN number for the estate. So I have to go to the IRS, get the EIN number, and then go to a bank and open up an estate bank account. Once I've done that, I can go to my parents' institution where they bank at, give them the death certificate, my letters of administration, and say, hey, I want to take the money inside of their bank accounts and distribute them into the estate bank account so I can start managing that money. And so they will make that transfer into the estate bank account, and then I have the ability to start managing the assets inside of their estate. If they have a house, cars, etc., it's my role to go in there and start managing all of those assets. So in particular with their home, it's storming behind me, so sorry about that. In particular with a home, I need to reach out to their lender, the insurance company, taxes if I'm paying for those separately for any reason, HOA, or anything associated with that property. And so I would reach out to the lender, give them letters of administration and the death certificate, and gain access to that account and start making payments for all of these things through the estate bank accounts. And so I'm paying for utilities, insurance, the mortgage, taxes, etc. With insurance, because my parents no longer own that property, the estate owns that property, it's no longer covered under the insurance policy my parents had. And so I need to go cancel that insurance policy and open up an estate insurance policy that would cover it while it's going through the probate process until it gets distributed out to the beneficiaries. And so now I've handled the property, I've handled the accounts, and if they have retirement accounts, they have life insurance or investment accounts, I would go to those institutions, give them the letters of administration and the death certificate, and either distribute those assets out to the designated beneficiaries on those accounts or distribute them into the estate bank account to go through the probate process. So now we have all of our assets in order. We are maintaining the assets, we're in control of them all, and we're making payments on all of them, or we have them distributed into the estate bank account. Now, this is all kind of going simultaneously. And so at the same time, we have to publicly notify creditors that our parents have passed away. And so when we file the petition for probate, they're going to do the notification for creditors for us. And so now it's starting to rain. They will do a public notification in the local newspaper once a week for 4 weeks, and then that publicly notifies creditors that your parents have passed away. And then they have a few months to respond to that and let you know that your parents owed money to them. And then they can come to you and say, hey, your parents owe us money. You'll have to take money out of the estate to pay those debts off to those creditors. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can go here, but in general, the priority of payments is going to be liquid assets first and then physical assets. So liquid assets would be things like checking accounts, retirement accounts, investment accounts, etc. Basically, it's just going to be the money in the estate bank account. And so you're going to take the money out of there, pay off all the debts that you can, and if you do pay off all the debts through that estate bank account, perfect, you're done. If you don't have enough liquid assets inside of the estate to pay those debts off, you'll have to start selling off physical assets, which would be things like homes, cars, boats, etc., to pay off those debts. Now, if you need to sell the home, you would do it yourself as the administrator. So you go find a realtor, you would list it for sale. If someone gives you an offer that's acceptable, you would sign as the administrator of the estate. You would send the closing attorney or title company the purchase agreement, your letters of administration, and then they will process all of that, pull title, get everything ready. And then when you go to the closing table, you would sign as the administrator of the estate, and then that would close that property, and then they would distribute the money into the estate bank account. And now you've sold a physical asset, and now you have money to pay off those debts. So you would take the appropriate amount of money to pay off the remaining debts that your parents would have, and then distribute the remaining money out to the beneficiaries. Now, if you don't have enough physical assets or liquid assets inside of your estate to pay off those debts, it will literally wipe out your entire estate, leaving the beneficiaries with nothing. And so, as you've seen, we've gone through a couple different scenarios there. And then when you do have assets or money left over, now we can distribute those out after we've paid off all of the creditors. And so you're going to be distributing the assets out per the intestate laws for your state. As an example, in Georgia, the kids would get the kids and the spouse would split the assets evenly, with the spouse getting a minimum of 1/3. And so what's going to happen is I will evenly split up those assets and distribute those assets out to those beneficiaries. And so if it's all money, it's super easy. But if you have physical assets like a home that you need to distribute out, you're typically going to be distributing that one property out to multiple people. And then when they take over the ownership of that, they have to figure out what they want to do with it, which is going to naturally create conflict. You could petition the courts to allow yourself to give money, the cash equivalent, to the other beneficiaries if there's enough money inside the estate to do so. But in general, now you have distributed all the assets out to the beneficiaries per the intestate laws in your state. And now they have to figure out what to do with that property. So let's talk about the real estate. If they have distributed their property out, you have updated your insurance to be covering the estate during the probate process. Now that you have distributed that property out and the beneficiaries own it, you have to go talk to the lender, and you have to go talk to the insurance company. You have to get the lender to transfer the loan into your name. So there's a couple different options here. Either they will transfer the loan to the beneficiaries, and you'll get to keep the repayment terms, the remaining timeline, interest rates, etc., and get to keep that loan. They're just going to reassign it into your name, or they will make you refinance that property into your name as the beneficiary, and you'll start the loan over completely. With your insurance, you need to update to have the policy in your personal name, because right now it's in the estate's name, not your name, and so therefore you don't have coverage on it because you have assigned ownership out of the estate into an individual's name. And when you assign ownership, the insurance policy is no longer valid because you have assigned ownership. Now, that's the entire probate process when your parents pass away without a will. If you want help with the probate process, or you want help setting up your assets so that they avoid the probate process, you don't have to mess with all of this nonsense, click link in the bio, fill out the form, and schedule a time to talk to some of our team.